Good morning folks, welcome to recipe 5 of this current series. Today we are going vegan. Yes, you're hearing that right, John Holmes is actually doing a vegan dish. We do eat quite a lot of veg in here, but we tend to have it with what I would call more traditional protein, i.e. beef, chicken, salmon, fish, cheese, things like that. So today I thought I would embrace vegan. I have more and more friends that are turning vegan and we are eating more and more vegetarian. So basically I'm taking a variation of a dish that I will do later in the year called Pigley Pie, which is normally made with sausage meat and onions and various other meat products, and I'm going to veganise it if you like. So I'm going to start by making pastry. So we're going to do a proper pie, lined bottom and crispy top. So in the bowl at the moment I have some vegan flora with flour, so it's 250 grams of flour to 125 grams of butter, or butter substitute, so half fat to flour basically, which is a traditional short crust pastry method. Taking off watches and jewellery because we don't want to get them caked in flour and other bits and pieces. So we're good to go, and because I know how messy I am, I'm actually going to put on an apron as well. There we go, my wife will be very proud of me for to even attempt putting on an apron because she knows I hate them. There we go, we've got this a bit of advertising for John's blog. So basically all I'm going to do here is rub this in, fatted flour. Don't go straight in, just very lightly toss it between your fingers. And also people with cooler hands are better at doing this. Cold hands, warm heart is what they say. So you need to rub this until it gets to a light breadcrumb and all your fat is rubbed into the flour so you don't have big lumps of fat going through your pastry. So I will probably edit most of this out because you really don't want to see me doing this for 5 minutes, just to get it into perspective. It's looking pretty good actually. Because you're using a vegan type butter, it's a lot softer than what I would call traditional cow butter, milk butter, whatever. But the consistency is exactly the same. The pastry assures me, tells me it comes out exactly the same as well. So we should have, right, so then I'm going to add a little well in the middle and add a little water. As I've said before, I'm not really a pastry chef of any stretch of the imagination, but when it comes to short crust pastry for pies, it's just one of the easiest ones there is. I've got a feeling I might have put a bit too much water in this, so talk amongst yourselves while I de-stick. So, as I said, I put a bit too much water in there on first attempt. So we're now going to cover that with a little bit of flour. I'm going to use a spoon to stop my hands getting all sticky again, just until it starts to bind. That's the beauty of pastry when it's homemade. If you add too much liquid, it's very, very easy and quick to all get together with a little flour. Okay, so that's okay. We're now going to get this ready to use. Put a flour on the block and we're going to scrape all the bits out of here, all the crumbs. I'm just going to tip that out, get rid of that, and then just a little bit of pulling together, a bit of kneading. Doesn't need a lot. You want this pastry to be nice and short, so that it's nice and crumbly once you put it together. Still quite sticky, so I'm going to add a little bit more flour. I am no pastry chef, and those that know me know that my best things come from sauces and meat. Ruby now has just heard that a couple of bits of pastry have dropped onto the floor, so she's coming to say hello. You might get a shot here of her, a shot of her in camera. Basically, we're just kneading this now to get all of the dry bits mixed in with sticky bits, a little bit more. Okay, that's now good. So I'm dusting the flour Okay, that's all mixed in. All I'm going to do now is wash my hands, and then basically we are going to put this in the fridge for half an hour minimum. So sometimes I make the pastry the day before and I just take it out the morning that I need it. So a bit of cling film. That goes in there. And then basically that can go in the fridge for, as I say, at least half an hour, cool it down, ready to work to make the pie. So we'll leave that again shortly. At the moment I'm just going to quick tidy down, and then we're going to move on and line the tin and make the filling. Now, the making of the filling is no cook. Okay, so there is no actual getting out of saucepans, frying pans, anything like that. It's all done raw, and then we basically add to the pie, make the pie, and it's cooked in the oven. So that's that. Where are we? There we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is line the tray for the pie. Now basically I've got about an 8-inch pie dish, and I've cut a disc of greaseproof paper to put on the bottom, and on the bottom I've put a little bit of flour. I'm going to smear that around with my fingers. You want to line the sides, the tops, all of it, so the pastry doesn't stick. You can use a spot of oil if you want to be a little bit healthier, but this is flora vegan, it's not, you know, going to kill you, hopefully. People have this adversity to fat these days in any shape or form. Without it, you know, most oils in their own are good. It's when we mess around with as human beings. Olive oil is fantastic, rapeseed oil is fantastic. Pure butter is, you know, brilliant, as long as you don't eat it by the half-pound block. And it's the same with everything in life. If you take everything in moderation, it's actually pretty good for you. But we, as human beings, find it very difficult to moderate, and that's why we get excess of, whether it be food, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs. We all tend to overindulge a little on occasion. I know I have. Over the last sort of 40 years that I had in the catering trade, I overindulged far too much to my own, you know, deficit sometimes. So that's all lined, ready to go. That's ready for the pastry. Next job is the filling. So in here is literally the paxo and the chopped onion, which you've seen pictures of at the beginning. Now I'm going to boil the kettle because we want to get some liquid into the breadcrumbs so they expand. It's just a pack of ordinary sage and onion. Just check the packets, because some of them do have, if you're a vegan, some of them do have beef extract in them. Get one that is vegan only, vegetarian, vegan friendly, however you want to read it. If you're not bothered, then that's fine. When we make the pigley pie, I tend to use a meat-based paxo rather than a vegetarian one, because it's being mixed in with sausage meat and onions anyway, so it really doesn't matter. To that, we're going to add the chickpeas and the chopped tomatoes, some little mixed herb, and I like a little bit of spice, so we've got a little bit of Tabasco in there as well. So first things first, we wait for the kettle to boil, and the other thing we've got is a stock cube. This is stock cube put with 100 ml of water, hot water, boiling water, and then dissolved so you get all the flavour. That can actually go straight in. That will give taste. Basically we can stir that through. You need the hot water to get the paxo to do its thing. So onions, if you like them finely chop them. We like them chunky. We actually like to be able to taste the onion going through it, as well as eat the onion once it's cooked. So this is just about to boil. Yeah, let's go in. So into that we add some boiling water. Not too much, you don't want it too sloppy. Just want to get it so that it starts to bind together. As I say, that is the only cooking you're going to do on top. The rest is done in the oven. Okay, so that is starting to bind. I'm going to add the tomatoes to that. Just a tin of chopped tomatoes. Any brand, it doesn't matter. They just add some colour and some more texture and vibrance, and they hold on to the flavours. We'll put some mixed herbs in a minute, and they will hold on to the flavours. So then a little bit of mixed herb. You can use whatever herbs you want. We like mixed, that's done with the sage, that will go with the sage and onion, so it's just going to enhance them even more. And this is a cheap meal. My wife and I made pigley pie with the sausage meat version when we were extremely up against it when we first met each other. We both come out of dodgy relationships and had a lot of debt left from previous partners. So this was a cheap meal. Now into that I'm going to add a little bit of Tabasco. You heat this how you want it, but we don't like too much spice in this house, but we do like a little. So that's that. And then basically a tin of chickpeas. Drain the juice off the chickpeas. A lot of recipes you have the juice in. On this particular occasion it would make it too wet. So the chickpeas are basically your protein. They're a very, very good source of protein. Obviously sausage meat has its own protein from the normally pork meat that's in there. Right, now unlike when we make this with sausage meat, we can actually taste this because there's nothing in there. The sausage meat, when it's uncooked, you can't taste it. So I'm just going to have a little taste. One more ingredient. So actually, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And that is actually going to be really, really nice. The thing I might add to that is just a fraction more spice. So if you don't like it, it's actually gives it quite a nice feature. Whenever you can taste something, taste it, because it actually, you get used to what you like. So tasting it, you're making sure you're going to do what you like. Okay, so that's the pie mix made, and all we're waiting for now is the pastry to set in there. We've lined the tin. What I'm going to do is turn the oven on to 180. So that is getting ready. And basically I will come back to you when I'm ready to roll out the pastry and make the pie. We'll see you soon. Hi guys, welcome back. As you can see, I've got the pastry ready to roll out. The mix is cooled, that's gone nice and firm now, so we're ready to make the pie. The way I divide my pastry for the base and the lid is basically 2/3, 1/3. Normally a pretty good judge of that, and the offcut of that will be mixed with that. At the top you'll see as I go along. So we're just going to flour this up a little bit and get it ready to roll. Okay, a little bit of flour on the rolling pin. And again, I am no pastry expert, so if there's any pastry experts watching this and you're cringing, I apologise now. But basically we just want to get this so it's just big enough to line the tin, so a good idea is to put the tin in sight and then you can judge it. Okay folks, welcome back. 5 minutes I've let this settle. I'm happy that that's still going to fit around the tin. So I'm going to basically do what I did previously and try and get this lined like so. And we're going to squeeze this into the corners, push it down. You want to get rid of all of the gaps in the corner of the dish. And the one thing I'm going to do differently this time, rather than chop the edge off, so I'm going to put the filling in first. And you want to do it so a couple of holes. Then the filling, basically we want to get this packed down. And when I serve this, which I will do a short video secondary to this going out. I will probably serve it with some potatoes and some peas, garden peas or something like that. It's interesting using different ingredients because I would normally have enough 2 pies out of 1 pack of pastry and sausage meat. And actually, I don't think I'm going to have enough here for 2 pies. It'll be too much for 1 because we've got a cheese topping to go underneath the pastry, which will create some wonderful, wonderful flavours. And also, when you melt the cheese, it will create. This is unbelievable that I'm going to use pretty much, if I'm going to put all of this in, because it's quite a dry mix. The cheese will add a certain element to it. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So now we top it with the cheese. We normally use full fat cheddar on this, but this is vegan cheese, so I've stuck with it. The disadvantage of vegan cheese is that it is quite rubbery and it doesn't stick, so it's falling out. Okay, I'm not going to use it all. I'll use that for something else. So that's the filling ready. I'm now going to roll out the top. As you notice, I still haven't chopped the edges off yet. My brain is telling me not to do that until after we've put the top on. Similar process with the top, bit of flour there. And again, it's quite wet, so it's going to need plenty of flour putting into it. I think when I made the pastry, when you saw me making the pastry at the beginning, we know I put too much water in it. I'm wondering with vegan fat whether you actually need to put less fat in it. But I'm going to do a bit of research on that one, and when this video comes out to you, I'll put any comments at the end so you can see how I've done things. So at the moment we're just going to try and make a disc to fit on the top. I'm going to water around the edge so we get stickiness, and we're going to bond it together using a fork. Fascinating stuff, absolutely fascinating how this responds. See how sticky it's getting. Sticking every single time you flour it. So it is interesting. I mean, 99% of the time I use bought pastry. I thought, give this a go and see how we get on. I don't know if you can buy bought vegan pastry. Again, I will Google it and see what's available. Right, that's that. So around the edge, I'm just going to put a little bit of water, just literally around the top with your fingers, and this will help the pastry bind. You can use, on a normal pie I would use egg. You would always then use the rest of the egg to create the glaze on top. This one I'm going to top it and then use olive oil flour, flour to finish it off. Okay, so that's ready to go as far as everything's covered. The way I like to do the edging is squish it in with a fork all the way around, so you get a little bit of a pattern and it bonds the pastry together. This should work, he says, hopefully. It works with normal pastry because I do this all the time when I make pies. Okay, that's that. Now comes the tricky part, and that's to take the edges off. And this is unusual for me to have this much difficulty doing pastry and pies. So I am blaming the butter or the flour. Texture is very, very different to what I'm used to. So that's that done. What I'm going to do now is dust this with a little, butter it with a little flour to create some glaze on it after or when it cooks. Normally this would be egg wash. I think this will do the trick. Okay, that, and holding the top of the pie to let the steam out, and then we're going to put that in the oven for probably around 40 to 45 minutes on 180. Should be about right. We'll test it and make sure it's where it needs to be. If it all goes belly up, then so be it. That tray is not going to fit, so we'll use this one. Okay, so that's going in the oven, as I say, 180, 40 to 45 minutes. And fingers crossed that will come out looking like a pie and it won't explode everywhere. And I'm happy the flavour is going to taste good, whatever it looks like. So it's all a bit of an experiment for me getting into vegan. I will be doing another vegan recipe in about 6 months' time. In the meantime, we'll go back to what I normally do, what I'm more comfortable with. And go from there. So we will be back with you as soon as the pie is cooked. See you soon. Hi guys, welcome back. Here we are 45 minutes later. Give it an extra 5 minutes while the camera's off. I'm now going to take it out of the oven. I think we're just about there with it, so let's have a look. Oh, not looking too bad. So you can probably see it's split slightly. Different glaze to it. You know, there is no glaze on top like you would if you used an egg. But you know, this is vegan. Cheese is bubbling out there. Cheese actually tastes much better cooked, I have to say. And I'm hoping that the liquid part of the cheese is soaked through. Because when you use pork mince, the juices from the pork mince normally spill out around the edge. We've got no spillage here, so it tells me it's maybe a little bit drier than the meat version. That's fine. What I'm going to do is take that off the tray and put it onto the cooling rack. Leave it in its tin for the moment, and basically once that's cooled, we will have a look at it, take it out of its thing. You can see the cheese here again. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how different materials, at the end of the day that's all food is, it's a material that we get protein from, and the vitamins we need. Different materials create different effects. The egg wash is the one thing that, to me, that's okay. Pastry's crisp. Doesn't taste too bad. Let's not pull it apart too much while it's still baking hot. We will come back to you as soon as this is cooled, and I will take it out of the tin and we'll see what we've got inside. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye now. Welcome back, people. As you can see, we've taken the pie out of the oven and out of the tin. I'm now going to just take it in here so I can cut it and have a look, see what we've ended up with. As I said before, the glaze isn't as good as on a normal pie, but because we couldn't use egg. I'm hoping this is going to be really, really nice inside. Pastry's crumbly, which is good. And there we have it. I'll take some pictures of that, but that has actually turned out really, really, really nice. And if it tastes as good as it looks, then that's going to be absolutely yummy. So that's a vegan version of what we call pigley pie, made with a packet of stuffing, tin of chickpeas, tin of tomatoes, some herbs and spices, just to pad it out, and normally made with sausage meat. Chickpeas have replaced that, topped with cheese. The cheese has made, the fat of the cheese has gone through the pie by the looks of it, which is exactly what we wanted. It's normally the sausage meat that creates the fat. So I'm really, really pleased with the way that's turned out. We will probably have that with supper tonight, and have that with probably some chips and beans, or maybe potatoes and peas, depending on the mood when we want to eat. So that's a vegan version of my pigley pie. We will be making the pigley pie, a meat version of it, later in the year, probably towards October, November time, when it starts to cool down again. Don't put it in the summer because we like summery foods. We will see you again next week for next week's book review. Looking forward to doing that. A couple of really, really good books again. So we will see you then. Watch out on the website and on the Facebook group for some new offers coming up. We've got some diet plans coming onto there for free, as well as hopefully the website updates. So fingers crossed. We will see you again very soon. Take care. See you soon. Bye.